Hey all, Board Game Rants here. We'll find everything solo, tabletop gaming, and more. It's too dang cold down where I typically record this, so I want to bring you up here where all the magic happens. This is where it all goes down. About my favorite place to be as we delve into the MVP of the month. Here we go. Welcome. And because it got a little cold real quick here, it's the end of October in the Pacific Northwest in the States, and I just didn't feel like going down and freezing my little patootie tooties off. So I'm doing this up here in my little corner of the house that I've just, as you can just see, totally designated to games. That's it, just games. And these games, when I run out of room on this, I don't know, this is like a 6x4 foot table, and I start scooching over and taking over the coffee table. Oh, something ends up over there on the kitchen table, and then downstairs I got other tables. I've actually got a workbench downstairs in the basement that you're supposed to do work on, like cool construction-y work, and I have games on it. Anyway, that's my life. For those of you who know, that shouldn't surprise you. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Let's get after it. And I played, how many games did I play? I wrote it down somewhere. I wrote it down on the back of this sheet. 42 plays and over 8 different games. And one of these games should count, well, I'll get to it. But first and foremost, I've been raving about it. PAX Premier is just got one play in, and that was probably earlier this month. And then I went on some other one and dones, if you will. Fields of Arle. That was it's a Uwe Rosenberg game, very popular one. The expansion Trade and Tea or something like that just showed up at my local game store, and so I snatched it up because it's kind of difficult to get. And then broke out Fields of Arle, which you might have seen on the table there, and started playing. I just want to reacquaint myself before I opened up the. What's nice too is, I guess I get ahead of myself. I ended up taking back the expansion because I played Fields of Arle and realized, it's just I don't know, I'm just not in the mood for it right now. I played it once and I was like, I could put this away right now and I wouldn't miss it. So, I played once. Neon, that's another one that I actually just kind of out of the blue, a family member let me borrow that from a friend who let him borrow it, and because it had a solo mode, and I wasn't going to say no, so I took it home and finally got that. It took me a couple weeks, but finally got that to the table, and it was I just played it once and that was enough. I mean, the game was fine, but it's like it reminded me of Seven Wonders, and maybe what's the game I'm trying to think of? I have it here. Suburbia. Like if they had a baby, that would be Neon. And so it was fine. The mechanics, it's a perfectly fine game. I know a lot of people are going to enjoy it. It'd be what would be considered maybe a gateway game. Sets up quick, you can put away quick. I mean, I only did play one time, but I played one time. There's a lot of iconography on there that can be a bit much, but after playing it one time through, you realize, wow, I'd catch on to this really quick. You would, interestingly enough, because I brought up PAX Premier. So because Neon, while all the mechanics felt, it was just like I've played this before. It's just sort of a mishmash of stuff that I played before. It just felt like unremarkable to me. I don't know, kind of bland. Maybe I played too many games. I don't know what the case is. But with PAX Premier, I mentioned too that has a bunch of very familiar mechanics. But that was put together in a very non-bland way. Actually, wrapped around a bland theme that I cared nothing about. The game still shined through all of that. Even though the mechanics too, I felt like, I've seen these mechanics elsewhere. It was brilliantly done. And Neon was just like, I don't know, just didn't strike any chord with me. So I'll be able to give that back. But that was nice. That was nice to be able to at least try it. I always love just trying games, and it does have a solo mode to it. So let's hear it. Played Cloudspire 8 more times. Played a lot of that last month. That was last month's MVP. And I just actually put that away to make room for Fields of Arle. And because it's been up there for a couple months, I think, on my table. Plan on getting it back up there. But, you know, I always say that, and then it's just like game after game after game, and it's just hard to, you know, my appetite is such that hopefully I'll get back to that. But Cloudspire played 8 times. Paladins of the West Kingdom. Got that. Oh, it's right there. You can see it. And I had previously experience with Raiders of the North Sea, and I didn't really care for it. Well, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. It's just it was a little too, I don't know, wasn't enough meat to it. And then when I got the solo variant, I felt like it was just completely overpriced and ridiculous. And then I got that, and it just didn't. I don't know. I was just unimpressed for my own purposes, and felt a little bitter about the whole process, and passed on Architects that came out because of it, even though it had a solo mode, and even people said it was a little heavier. But then Paladins came out and just showed up again. I have a tendency to just do these little potty breaks at my local game store. I'm around town with the work that I do, and I always make an excuse to stop there, and it tends to end up costing me a lot of money. And so I picked this up, and I don't regret it. And I probably will. I'm hoping to maybe do even a video playthrough on that, a tutorial of the solo, because it's pretty snazzy. And while I don't feel like it's as heavy as maybe I was sort of led to believe it might be, it is pretty straightforward. I mean, I felt like it was. But anyway, probably more to say on that. But Paladins of the West Kingdom, just a pretty solid game, a worker placement game again. But where it's kind of almost like built-in solitaire. You got your own board, and you're putting your own stuff, and you kind of get your own engine going, and you and another player, you know, don't have too much to do with each other, except for occasionally out on the board you get these what's it called, King's Favors or something, which are little worker placements that do open up as the game goes along that you can compete for. But other than that, you're kind of in your own world there. I love the art. That's the biggest thing I love about the games, I think. And it's just, it hits the spot. It looks beautiful on the table. This time, the component quality for what I paid, I felt was like I think it was above average. I really felt, you know, with Raiders of the North Sea, I felt burned by the perceived value. This one exceeded my expectations, you know, for the game. So that was a nice surprise. Moving on, Trickerion. I actually had done a video, it was a tutorial on something, and somebody in the comments was like, man, I hope you do one for Trickerion. And at that time, I'd heard it was out there, that the expansion, people were getting it from the long overdue Kickstarter. Not going to get it in that, am I? No. Anyway, I wasn't even part of the Kickstarter, but I had picked up Trickerion earlier this year because looking on the Kickstarter, the expansion, Academy, Dalgard's Academy, was supposed to have an official solo variant by David Turczi himself. I was super excited. I picked it up, and it's like, oh, it's probably going to be out in another month or two. No, it was more like 6 months. So maybe it wasn't that long. Maybe it was. Anyway, so, but then I, you know, people were getting it, and then I saw in the stores, it's not going to be out in the stores till like later this year, and I was like, but person on Board Game Geek was selling them. Thank you. And I feel like I got not only Dalgard's Academy, but I also got Dawn of Technology, which you can incorporate from a solo standpoint as well. Like, shipped to my house, both of them brand new for like $60. It was astonishing. So thank you again. I wish I could remember your name, but for offering that up, and I was able to pick that up and got into it, and woo! Trickerion is a yes. Trickerion is the biggest drawback is just the setup, and probably takedown too. There's so many bits and pieces to this game, but it looks awesome. I love the steampunky look, and the game is very heavy. And with Dalgard's Academy, which adds the official solo variant, oh gosh, the solo variant is fantastic. But it's so much, and the request, someone wanted me to do a solo tutorial. I was like, this was a little more than I felt like I wanted to take the time to do. But I did did it anyway. But I took, you can play a variant. It offers, thankfully, a way to play just the base game with the Dark Alley, the solo variant. And so you can kind of do away with the Academy, which adds a whole bunch to the game and mechanic wise to the solo variant. So I was able to put that aside and just focus on the base game, which was fantastic. I hope it turned out well. I just finished up the series. It was a 2-part series. You saw it on my table here. And now I'm probably going to be busted out Academy, and I might do a little addendum video to incorporate that, because it's, you know, if you look on Board Game Geek, the weight rating of Dalgard's Academy is like 4.8 something. I don't know sometimes I don't really understand the weight stuff. There's a lot to keep track of, but I don't feel like I sit there and like have to overthink my turns and stuff. I kind of, you start playing the game, which for those of you who don't know what Tricerion is about, it's about playing a magician. And you gather up, you know, assistants and apprentices and proteges and engineers and stuff, and you're trying to learn tricks. And then once you learn tricks, you've got to go get the components for those tricks. Then you gotta like set up and maybe practice those tricks. Then you got to go to the theater, have your assistants or whoever set them up on stage, and then it's showtime. Kind of the end of that particular round. If you are going to be performing, you have your magician performing. You put it all together, and that's where you're going to get all your money and your fame from. And whoever has the most fame at the end of the game wins. And so it's, you know, in a nutshell, sounds pretty straightforward. And but that was like the base game, and then you can add as expansion, which allows you to do a little subterfuge, you know, some nefarious things there, and you can go into the Dark Alley and you can subtly there's ways you can manipulate things you wouldn't otherwise given the rules. And then it's a worker placement game as well, the game is. And then the Academy adds this whole nother thing where you can set up tricks to practice them, and then, which means that particular trick you'll learn, you know, you'll get more stuff for it, or you can just teach your trick and then you have to kind of retire it, but then you're going to get kind of an ongoing income at the end of a round. And so it's all very well done, but it is very heavy. And I said I played that 8 times, but that 8 times is like, I want to say 2 to 3 hour average each, because it's just a big game and learning it. And so I feel like, you know, 8 games is more like a normal 15 to 20 games of the kind of games that I usually play, which end up being about an hour long. So anyway, that was Tricerion, but it's fantastic. I still got that up, still plan on playing that more. Moving on. So now I'll kind of get into what I was a little bit disappointed about over the year, or not over the year, but just this last month. And that was, I don't know if disappointed, just Vindication never really took. And I played it 3 more times. But, you know, in all fairness, I got the game based on a very cool looking, and it is still cool. I think it's well done, the unofficial solo variant. But the game, I don't know, I just couldn't, I enjoyed it more playing. I was almost like, I shouldn't have played it with my son. It kind of ruined it for me. I was like, Dad, I really like it that way. But I just don't play a lot of games with people anymore, because I could. My preference has just become more and more to, because I go through games so quick and nobody wants to learn as many games as I want to play and move on to the next one. It's just hard to sink in with a group, if you will. And when I played that, though, Vindication with my son, I was like, this is fantastic. Playing it multiplayer. And solo, it's so-so. So, but there is an expansion that has an official solo variant. I haven't heard many good things about it, but gosh, do I take the chance and pick it up just to see? I don't know. Anyway, so that kind of, I still haven't given up on Vindication, but I did put it away, and games that I put away tend to struggle to get back on the table. So, but we'll see. The surprise, if you will, is not so much of well, it is a board game. It's Through the Ages. And Through the Ages came out with expansion New Leaders and Wonders. But it's all on the app. And what the whole impetus behind me even starting to play it was Tapestry, which last month I explained I was not, you know, it just wasn't my game, wasn't my bag. And I sold that. And I mentioned too, that's one of the best things about Stonemaier games is I've been able to, like with Wingspan, played it, and it's a remarkable game. I think at Essen it won top notch. And back in January when I had it and played it and my MVP show there, I think I remember mentioning, I felt like this was going to be like this designer's Gloomhaven, if you will. And it turns out it probably will be. And, it's one of the better games that came out this year. And I would even agree with that. And you talk about a game that had very familiar mechanics that was put together in a brilliant way. That was, absolutely Wingspan. And I'd seen all those mechanics in some way, shape, or form, but it was done so well and so accessible, and it appealed to the gamer as well as someone who's just getting into games. And the theme was just so universally accepted. A lot of people were like, who cares about birds? But then everybody ended up caring about birds. And just the artwork and all this stuff that just drew you in. Very well done, Wingspan was. But I digress. I was able to sell that for much more than I paid for it because it was a very big shortage early in the year. Not so was the case with Tapestry, but I did get most of my money back, and I was able to do a good tutorial video on that, which seemed to have been well received. A lot of people watching that, and so I'm glad it's helping because it was, still, it was Automa Factory, did the solo variant. It's going to be good. But Tapestry, again, it just didn't, said a civilization game, and it kind of it wasn't, in my opinion. Whatever. Had a oh my gosh, there's so much about Tapestry. You can go on BGG, knock yourself out, and read and watch videos for days on that game. And fine game, just not for me, but it got me wanting to play a real civilization game, if you will, through the ages. And man, playing on the app, that's what I love, that deep, and you can go military, you can go in all sorts of directions in all these different ways and to win and being able to, but it's so fiddly to put out on the board. I actually have it right there. And I put it out, but on the table, but quickly put it away because it was just like, I have to kind of remember all these people. The app is done so well. It's just one of the, I'm not big on playing board games on my phone, but through the ages, and then I was able to get the expansion. Just awesome game. And I ended up playing it about 3-4 times, I forget. But, I love that game. And just a classic and just as good as it gets for me as far as civilization games. So, the MVP. Black Angel. Black Angel was recommended by a couple people to me, and I am very grateful. Because with Black Angel 2, so here's something. So that's my MVP. Played 16 times. And this game is it sets up quick. It's got you can get into the swing of it so quickly. I just feel like you're just off to the races. Like a lot of games, like with Tricarion, it's sort of a startup. It's like a chugga, 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 chugga. Black Angel is just like boom. You're going. If you want a chance against how the AI, you got to pick a strategy and you got to sink your teeth into it and just like you can't let go because you will lose. And so you get your cards and it allows you're going to cycle through so many cards that you just got to stick with it. It's so easy to get distracted and go, feel pulled in this direction or that direction. I love how it makes you focus and how there's so many cool mechanics to that game that make it feel heavy, but I don't, I guess it's a heavy game, but it's the perfect weight for the speed that you can play it and the time in which you can play it in and the way it sets up. This is very good candidate for being in my top 10 of the year solo games, and it was close to me not picking it up because, and this is something that I'm having, and I'm seeing more and more, and it's just becoming too bad, I guess, or whatever. I'm displeased with it. As I watch people do playthroughs, and I watched a couple and playing Black Angel, and before I picked it up, and the reason I kind of passed on it was both of them, they played there were so many errors. It was hard to I couldn't get in the flow with the game. The whole idea of a playthrough is to help the viewer get a sense of what the game's like. But when they're played incorrectly, you get a false sense of what the game's like, and it was a turnoff. I mean, and one of them was a big time playthrough person. And then at the end they did the kind of review and they were like, how's too easy? And I was like, oh. So I mean, it doesn't look like, so I was going to pass on it based on that. And thank goodness I didn't, because that person was playing it totally wrong. I mean, you could see it. You could see the little subtitles. I think a lot of times some of these content providers you're just relying too much on just put on the Klingon, I'm going to make mistakes. And I don't think that's an excuse to make kind of a poor video. I guess that's all subjective. And if it's your job and you're burning through games and stuff, and now don't get me wrong, I get it. It is very difficult to, and I can say firsthand how difficult it is, how to do a playthrough, an accurate playthrough, while you're recording. You're worried about the lighting and you're worried about your angle. Well, and that's if you're holding the camera like I am. Well, my phone. While I'm holding the phone, I'm trying to not make people sick. Like zinging it around all over the place, trying to get in on the action, hoping that I've got the angle, it's catching what I'm doing and actually playing while I'm playing the game, while I'm trying to articulate what I'm doing and teach the game, etc. It could be mind, and if it's a complex game, you're trying to keep track of all that while you're, I get it. You're gonna make mistakes, but I think it's just getting a little out of hand. And again, it's just going back to where I think people are just wanting to put out content before it's ready to be put out. But to each their own, whatever you got to do, I guess. But that is, I've honestly stopped watching this individual's videos or counting on them because they're just getting too messy for me. And it's actually doing the game a disservice, because it would have kept me from buying it if I went on that, alone. And so anyway, that was a little bit of an observation, and it's kind of, but then it's made me want to get better in my own respect. So I did a tutorial for Black Angel, and I made sure I played it at least 10 times before I did it, so that while I'm doing all these things, trying to, do all the recording of it, that it's coming secondhand, second nature. And then and I did that too with Tricerion as much as I could. It was after the 8th play that I just finished that video, the tutorial. And but it was 8 plays, but like I said, it was like 3 times, like 24 hours, 20 plus hours easily of playing that game. That allowed me to not have to, again, you're gonna make errors, but just a few, sure. But just boom, 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 one after the other, and then you're not playing it right, and you're not scoring things right, and then at the end you're coming up with a review of the game based on not playing it correctly. Not cool. So anyway, there's my little rant on that. But Black Angel is awesome. It is it's cool. It's got 2 boards you're playing on. You got your space board, which kind of has you out and exploring and stuff, and taking on missions and scoring points and stuff. And the symbology on this game is fantastic. There's really, at first it looks like a mess. It looks complicated, but you play half a game and you realize all the symbology is the same, just all over the place. But there's relatively little of it. But enough to make it really crunchy, and that combined with then you've got your own board, which is like this little CPU thing that you can do all these fun things with and create these cool little combos with. And then you've got the Black Angel, which is the board where you actually take actions, but you're going to be using your dice. And for those, Trois is how it's said, I guess. It's the same designers of Trois, Troyes, that did this. And so it has very much that main mechanism to it, where you're rolling dice and you can buy dice from each other, and the pip value of the dice determines how much you can do of an action. And the color of the dice determines what type of action you can do. Very cool mechanic, very solid. Black Angel was awesome, and I'm so glad that I picked it up. So trying to wrap things up here a little bit. I mentioned, games that I sold was Tapestry, and then I sold Raiders of the North Sea because I got Paladins back here behind me now. And in the future, what I'm looking for, and this is what I took back the expansion Fields of Arl for, was Circadian's First Light. Pick that up. Because this game, I don't know if it's designed by Shem Phillips, or it has something to do with somebody that had to do with that game. And I know it just came out, Circadian's First Light. A lot of people, it looks, the solo, I've watched a couple videos on the solo. It looks very well done. And it looks like more my kind of game. I don't like the art as much as I like on Paladins, but it looks like more my kind of game. Circadian's First Light, looking forward to getting into that. I picked up Space Corp. So I picked this up because I was able to get it. I wasn't able to get it exactly for a good price, but I don't know, a normal price. But John Butterfield, who's notoriously known for I think, I don't know too much about him. But from a solo standpoint, I should. And so I'm going to try and get to know John Butterfield a little bit better. I understand that this maybe isn't like his best solo. People say it's too easy, but then the game got so much attention that there's a lot of people that have done not videos, but done their own tweaks to make it more difficult. But I don't know, tell you what, after playing Black Angel, and you just getting slaughtered over and over and over and over again by Hal, and then Tricerion, and playing against the air, I could use a little easy in my life right now. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't mind actually winning a couple times. And by the way, going back to really quickly to Black Angel, that was one thing I didn't like about the variant, the solo variant, is just the difficulty level. The air, like very well done for Tricerion and being able to do the levels. Although there's one thing I didn't really care about that. But back to Black Angel, it's just when it's just like, you know, if you want more difficulty, start Hal with 5 less points. Or wait, no, 5 more points. If you want less difficult, what did I say? If you want less difficulty, start Hal off with 5 less points. If you want it on hard level, start him with 5 more points. If you want it normal, start him with the same points as you. I don't dig that. I can't stand it when variants just do that. So for me, I find that the normal difficulty is actually hard, but you're supposed to kind of give a generic 3 points to Hal when this happens or this happens or this happens, when a few things happen. And so the way I ratchet it down to more of a normal feeling game is to just give Hal 2 points anytime that stuff happens. When a mission falls off the board, or when Hal can't do an action or stuff. And you could even do variations within that to tweak it to make it a little bit more difficult. But, you know, and then if you want it on easy, just give Hal 1 point when all these generic things happen. You know, that it made more sense to me. I played it on normal, where I just gave Hal 2 points each time, rather than 3, and it felt much cooler. You know, I actually was able to win, you know, some there, and that felt more like a normal level to me. But anyway, just back to Space Corp, the tweaks that were done on BGG to make it more difficult. I'm interested to look into those if I find the game too easy. Also looking forward to Dice Settlers. That's coming out with an expansion. I heard about it like one day, and the next day I found that I could pick it up, so I've ordered that. It's coming tomorrow, I think. Western Sea is the name of the expansion. I wasn't too impressed with Dice Settlers. I thought it was just not my, it wasn't heavy enough for me, but it was the design by David Turczi. The solo design was awesome. He does these incredible solo designs. They're all so different. And they just adapt to the particular game that he's designing. It's just like, it is a game design in itself when he does solo variants. And my first experience with David Turczi was last year with Anachrony, which is still just unbelievable how innovative that solo variant was. And since then, he's done so many, like with Cerebria, that was another huge one. And now Tricerion. I mean, these are heavy games that he is building this solo variant into, and it is impressive. So I pick up Dice Settlers, and it was just everything felt like just notched down. But Western Sea, to what it looks like, I know almost nothing about it. It was an impulse buy. I just wanted, you know, I'm going to give it another chance. I owe David Turczi at least that. But preliminary looks at it, it beefs it up. It adds some depth, and so I'm pretty excited about trying that out. Other things I'm looking forward to: Tainted Grail, any day now. That looks fantastic. People are getting it. People are receiving it. I did back that, and it is very late. And but after they're the same group that made Nemesis, which is gonna make my top 10 of the year. Fantastic game. Like if there's a game that brought out the salt in me, of the year, that would be Nemesis. And there's supposed to be some expansion material, the second wave coming out, and I'm looking for that. My friendly local game store said they were going to get it. I am super pumped about that, and just chomping at the bit to just see that show up, because I'm picking that up straight away. And but Tainted Grail, Awaken Realms, that's the name of the outfit, the company that's making these games. And Tainted Grail, though, is now getting higher. They have very high rated games. It was ultimately playing Nemesis that had me go in on Tainted Grail. And but also Seventh Continent. It looked like Seventh Continent. I was never able to get Seventh Continent, and then I just kind of decided not to. And then consequently, a couple weeks ago, there was a pre-order thing said, if you order by now, you can get it before Christmas. So I have Seventh Continent on the way too, just the very, very basic. But so that's coming. But I'm not nearly as excited about that as I am. I just want to see what the hubbub is about Seventh Continent. But maybe Tainted Grail is going to take its place. Maybe people are going to be like, ooh, shouldn't get Seventh Continent, get Tainted Grail. We'll see. Anyway, I think that's it. That's the whole month of October. But now, yeah, it's gotten colder outside. This is kind of, we had some record lows here in the Pacific Northwest. And so maybe I'll be doing them up here, so I don't have to freeze my buns off while I'm trying to talk about games, because, you know, by now I'd be down the kind of doing this. I'm trying to tell you stuff. So again, welcome to the channel if you're new, and I appreciate you watching this. This is my favorite thing to do. This is where, I mean, you guys have all the clout, if you will. Please comment down below on stuff, anything, and even requests, because, well, I put videos out for tutorials and unboxings and stuff, you know, that I think people can readily find. But this is where, like, I feel like this is my true jam, and you are my true people, and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you. And because this is where I get to kind of express, you just me the way I am, and you're watching it, and hopefully it's doing something. Hopefully you're learning about games, and we can talk about games down below and stuff, and give me your input. And but if anybody had, you know, I'm always open to requests, but I've mentioned many times that I'm keeping the channel, just not asking for any money, because I want it to be totally me, when I want to do stuff, how I want to do stuff, the games that I want to do, without any kind of pressures or anything. I'm kind of in a position now. I've not getting overrun, but I've had it, you know, a couple times people coming to me asking if I do like a little review on a Kickstarter, and I've kind of politely said no, because I want to keep it games that I'm doing that you have a chance to get. Because that always drives me crazy when I see reviews done and I want the game and it comes out a year and a half later. Anyway, it's just my own thing, the way I like doing it. And but the fact that you're watching this is you are the ones. You know, you guys have the most meaning to me in what this channel is about. And so thank you. And if there's anybody, if there's any group of people who subscribe to the channel that I'm going to listen to, it's going to be you. So anyway, I got to quit rambling. I got to get back to playing some games. Hopefully you will too. Until next time, I'm Board Game Rants, and I'm out.